It was a ticking time bomb. The tectonic plates on which Haiti rests move 2 centimeters per year relative to each other. On the fault line just below its capital city, stress had been building up for 250 years. January 12, 2010 was a day like any other. In Haiti's massive textile factories, its sugar plantations, and the countless small businesses, people had been working all day. It's 4:45, and people were getting ready to head back home. It had been warm that day, but about an hour earlier, a cool, refreshing breeze had set in from the east. Haiti was oblivious to the looming catastrophe. The clock struck 4:53. It lasted only 35 seconds. The whole city was covered in a cloud of dust. In under half a minute, anywhere between tens to hundreds of thousands of people were killed. People were still trembling, as the severity of the event had yet to sink in. But there wasn't a whole lot of time. The aftershocks hit. Again and again. And again.
The catastrophe of major proportions. Haiti has been rocked by its biggest earthquake in more than 200 years.
Everything was just falling apart.
This is a recurring reality for Haitians. The country is frequently struck by droughts, hurricanes, earthquakes, and tropical storms, and Haiti is extremely ill-prepared. The 2010 earthquake left the country in ruins. The cost of reconstruction surpassed the country's annual GDP, but the international community provided billions in aid. But much of this just went missing. Corruption, hunger, mismanagement. Haiti appears to be destined to face continuous hardship. Nearly half the population faces acute hunger, and street gangs control over 60% of the country's capital. This is Haiti as we know it today, but once it was the crown jewel of the Americas. Under the colonial administration of France, Haiti was an economic powerhouse. They were the most lucrative colony of any country on Earth. Its production of sugar and coffee was larger than all of the British West Indian colonies combined. It outproduced the entire Spanish Empire in the Americas, and 1 in every 8 French citizens derived their income from Haiti. But somehow, even with these incredible prospects, they turned into the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere. This is how Haiti turned into a disaster with hindsight. Spanish settlers arrived on the island in 1492, and over the course of the next 25 years, they decimated much of the indigenous population. European colonizers then imported hundreds of thousands of slaves to harvest their sugar, coffee, and timber. And in 1664, the French established an outpost on the western third of the island. Business was incredible, and the society got highly stratified. A small elite was running the vast majority of slaves. In 1791, they revolted en masse. 12 years later, the French withdrew, and Haiti became the first Latin American country to gain its independence. They were a country led by former slaves, turning them into a beacon of abolition, self-determination, and equality. But this was in a time where the abolition of slavery was highly controversial. It was tough for Haiti to establish diplomatic ties. Its new leaders wrested the colossal task to revive the economy without relying on slavery. 12 years of war had devastated the country's agricultural output, but to make matters worse, Haiti was forced to pay $21 billion in reparations to France. Haiti was diplomatically isolated and now also deep in debt. Many European nations had put economic sanctions on the former colony, as did the United States. None of these great powers were willing to recognize a country that was led by slaves, as they still relied on slaves in their own countries and colonies. In the first 120 years of Haiti's existence, they spent 80% of its revenues on paying off their debt to France. Under Abraham Lincoln in 1862, the United States recognized Haiti as a sovereign country. And at the beginning of the 20th century, they would get more actively involved. It is the prelude to the First World War. Haiti was paying off massive debts to France, Germany, and the United States, mostly from loans to finance infrastructure projects. They had allowed a small group of Germans to settle on the island, and they were exercising immense influence on Haitian politics. This made the United States nervous. Haiti wasn't a stable country, to put it mildly. They went through 7 presidents in only 5 years, and the United States feared that Germany would leverage this instability to gain strategic access to the Caribbean. In 1915, the United States occupied Haiti. This started a nearly 2-decade period under US occupation, which actually brought significant economic benefits to Haiti. The US military built roads and communication infrastructure. They also built bridges, harbors, schools, and hospitals, and they controlled the country's previously abysmal finances. This led to Haiti seeing some rare economic growth in the 1940s and 50s. But then, this guy emerged.
Closely following his personal machine gun, Papa Doc.
François Duvalier, or better known as Papa Doc. He was a voodoo priest turned dictator. Before becoming president, Duvalier was a doctor in Haiti's countryside. His experiences had acquainted him with the everyday concerns of the people, the central role that voodoo played in their lives, and he had learned how easily the loyalty of people could be bought. He won in a landslide election that was widely believed to have been corrupt. But almost every presidential election in Haiti is followed by a coup. A year into his presidency, he managed to quell the first revolt, and Papa Doc realized that more attempts would undoubtedly follow. Papa Doc realized that most presidents are ousted by the military, so immediately after the attempted coup, he severely limited the military's power and he set up the Presidential Guard. This is the Tonton Macoute, a paramilitary force consisting of volunteers. They live off extorting their fellow countrymen, and they hold the power of life and death in their hands. This brutal militia helped Papa Doc to protect himself from conspirators. But Haiti still had the facade of democracy. In 1961, elections were held. Papa Doc could officially not run for re-election, as this is strictly prohibited in the constitution. But that didn't matter. He ran, and he won with an official tally of 1.3 million votes for him and 0 for his contestants.
I have been elected for president for life.
Haiti was extremely isolated and dirt poor. While globally, the 1960s were a decade of development. The world economy was growing in the fastest rate in history. In Europe and Asia, countries have recovered from World War II. Baby boomers entered the workforce and the world was relatively stable. This led to an average global GDP growth of 5% per year, the highest in recorded history. The real economic growth of every country in the world grew, except for Haiti. Its most fundamental problems were economic mismanagement and corruption. The only thing that Papa Doc managed to enrich was himself. In 1971, he died, and his son took over. Jean-Claude Duvalier, or Baby Doc, was only 19 years old. Under his rule, corruption became even worse. The government engaged in drug trafficking. They stole humanitarian aid, and they did things that I don't even dare to say out loud. The World Bank later estimated that during Papa Doc's rule, at least 36% of the government's revenue was embezzled. Haiti was going through an exceptionally dark time, and in 1986, the Haitian people gathered the courage and bravely stood up against their leader. Baby Doc knew that he couldn't hold on to power. so he stole $120 million from the Haitian treasury and he fled to France. France had granted him 7 days of exile, which he had to use to look for another country that would take him, but no one did. Baby Dog continued to live the sumptuous lifestyle that he had gotten used to. He had a magnificent chateau just outside of Paris and a luxury villa on the Côte d'Azur. He had speedboats, a collection of jewels, art, and he had several fast cars, including a Ferrari Testarossa. It pained France to have him, but they also feared that prosecuting him would lead to further unrest. In Haiti, the first internationally recognized democratic elections were held, and they were won by Jean-Bertrand Aristide. It was a moment for Haiti to shine. There was an air of freedom and democracy, and 8 months later, Aristide was overthrown. Democracy was short-lived, but Haitians kept trying. As one leader was elected, another was installed. The United States at some point intervened again, and the United Nations made an attempt a few years later. In the 1990s and the early 2000s, no local or foreign initiatives managed to create lasting democratic institutions. On top of this political turmoil, about every 2 to 3 years on average, there was a natural disaster. Floods, hurricanes, severe droughts. The economy saw almost no growth. There was rampant inflation and an AIDS epidemic. They had massive debt and there was widespread corruption. In 2010, Haiti was dirt poor and traumatized. While 13 kilometers below the ground, the stress on the fault line was suddenly and violently released.
The quake struck just before dusk. Its power shook the densely populated capital, Port-au-Prince, to its core.
The earthquake had a magnitude of 7.1. In the first 9 hours, there were 32 aftershocks, 12 of which had a magnitude of 5.0 or greater. In the days that followed, dozens more were recorded. 2 weeks later, right under the coastal city of Petit Goâve, the strongest aftershock to date was recorded. It had a magnitude of 5.9, costing the town nearly 15% of its buildings. Their housing and their infrastructure were substandard. The environment was degraded by decades of deforestation and poor land management, making Haiti particularly vulnerable to natural disasters. The exact number of victims of the earthquake is disputed, but it's probably in the vicinity of 200,000 people. 1.5 million more became homeless. The humanitarian aid that the world made available in just a matter of weeks is a glimmer of hope in this story. But a shadow was cast over all the good that was done when the news broke that billions of dollars went missing. Then in the immediate aftermath of the earthquake, a cholera epidemic broke out. A disease that was brought to Haiti by UN peacekeepers from Nepal. This killed tens of thousands of people and it infected hundreds of thousands more. Haiti today is just a collection of bad news, and after 2010, the misfortune didn't stop.
The first glimpse of the coastal communities hit hardest by Hurricane Matthew.
We go to Haiti now, where more than 300 people are now confirmed dead.
They are continuously hit by natural disasters, and they struggle to establish a stable political system.
Haitian President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated early Wednesday in his home on the outskirts of the country's capital city.
After the assassination of Moïse in 2021, there have been no elections. The richest and the brightest in Haiti managed to escape, and the poorest are chained to a sequence of misfortune. Can this ever be turned around? Well, let's take a look. The main economic advantage of Haiti is its proximity to the United States. This is still the largest export market for manufactured goods. Haiti today has an economy that's similar in size to South Korea and Taiwan in the 1970s. These three countries all lack natural resources, but South Korea and Taiwan managed to prosper for the exact same reason: export led industrialization. In 2020, Haiti reached a record unemployment rate of 15%. It has a population of nearly 12 million people. This is a massive and cheap workforce that would allow Haiti to become an export powerhouse to the United States. They need to leverage their proximity and their preferential access. Starting off with manufacturing, clothes, shoes, simple electronics, or anything along those lines. This strategy has lifted many countries out of poverty in the last few decades, and it's already happening on a small scale. It's a start, and there are many roadblocks, but there's also a huge untapped potential. Which of these two videos appeals to you the most? Let me know by watching it next.